Huge breaking news on deadline day. Liverpool have agreed a British record £125 million deal for Newcastle striker Alexander Isak.
Start as you mean to go on. Hello there, good morning. Welcome along to what could be the most dramatic deadline day in years.
And we've got you covered right here on Sky Sports News. Just sit back and enjoy the ride.
Sit back and enjoy a bit of Charlie Austin as well. He's here until 10 o'clock. All his reaction to the big breaking stories.
Well, it's transfer deadline day and we begin with some huge breaking news on Alexander Isak. After late night negotiations, Liverpool have agreed a British record £125 million deal for the Newcastle striker, which could bring an epic saga to an end.
We've got both sides of the story. Pete Graves is at Newcastle for us, but we start at Liverpool's training ground and join Vinny O'Connor. Vinny, bring us up to speed, please.
Yes, well, we know that Liverpool's spending is going to continue. And again, they are spending big. They are going to pay Newcastle that flat fee of £125 million. It will be a British transfer record, obviously eclipsing the £110 million that Chelsea paid to Brighton. Sorry, £115 million it was, wasn't it, that Chelsea paid to Brighton for Moises Caicedo back in 2023. Alexander Isak himself has agreed a 6-year deal with Liverpool. He's now due to undergo a medical. That medical is due to get underway this morning as well. There was a lot of talk around Anfield actually yesterday. He was in a hotel around about 20 minutes drive away from where Liverpool were taking on Arsenal and ultimately taking 3 points in that battle of last season's top two, of course, as well. And you mentioned the fact that this has been a transfer saga throughout the summer. Of course, Liverpool having that £110 million bid for Alexander Isak rejected by Newcastle earlier in the window. Newcastle were looking for around about the £150 million mark, but obviously they have reached a compromise on the fee. Also helped by the fact that Newcastle look to be getting a striker through the door as well in terms of an ideal replacement for Alexander Isak, and that ultimately has helped this deal along as well. And we're just looking at when Alexander Isak can start really making an impact for Liverpool. Of course, he is 25 years of age. He will turn 26 next month, of course. Newcastle paid £63 million for him back in 2022 to Real Sociedad. 54 Premier League goals in 86 Premier League appearances. Only 8 of those appearances as substitute as well. But looking at what Liverpool have got coming up after this international break, well, first of all, it is Burnley away. Then it's Atletico Madrid at home in the Champions League. His first potential home game for Liverpool could come in no bigger occasion, really, than a Merseyside derby at Anfield as well. And then after that, it's Palace away, Galatasaray away, before Chelsea away at the start of October. So all gearing up very nicely for the start of Alexander Isak's Liverpool career. He has obviously still got to put pen to paper as yet, complete that medical. But of course, the set fee is £125 million, and he is set to become a Liverpool player on deadline day.
Big fee, big news. Thank you very much, Vinny.
Let's cross live to Newcastle and speak to Pete Graves. Pete, good morning. Newcastle get a British record fee, but how will Isak be remembered there?
Hi, Julia. I think, unfortunately, Isak will be remembered largely by the way he's acted this summer and not by his performances to the last couple of seasons on the pitch. A lot of disappointment up here, I think, from supporters, but also within the club, you would imagine, at the way that this has played out, with a player refusing to go on pre-season tours and refusing to play in matches, and ultimately, despite the fact that Liverpool came in with that £110 million bid a couple of months ago now, they feel like they've stood firm and ended up getting a fee, as we said, set fee of £125 million. But as far as Newcastle United are concerned, the total package worth just north of £130 million to Newcastle United. So they're relatively happy with the fee they've ended up getting, when there was a time, maybe a few days ago, where they thought that they might not see Liverpool return to the table. But they feel that they're happy with the fee that they've got for a player who clearly didn't want to be here. He's not played in any of the opening 3 games, of course, so as far as the squad are concerned, they're not losing a player who's been playing for them. They're losing someone who's not being involved at all. And Newcastle United, by the way, remain active this morning. They now have had their sort of focus sharpened a little bit to go out and try and bring in another addition into the attacking lineup. But let's not forget, Alexander Isak aside, the club have had a fantastic window in so many ways. They've actually strengthened in every position on the football field. They brought in a new goalkeeper in Aaron Ramsdale. They brought in a new defender in Malik Chow, a new midfielder in Jacob Ramsey, and two new attackers in Anthony Elanga on the wing, of course, and a club record deal for highly rated German international forward, 23 years old, Nick Woltemade, who was in the stands at Elland Road at the weekend and will be fit to make his debut following the international break. They're hugely excited about the acquisition of Woltemade and feel he can achieve so much in the Premier League. 6'6" and a towering centre forward, and someone who can come in, and Eddie Howe was saying on Saturday after the game, he's got all the attributes required to be a top Premier League player. So they've had a good window already, and as things stand this morning, they remain active. We know that they've been trying to bring in another centre forward. They've had talks with Wolves over Larson, and you think Johan Wissa would probably be the one that they'll push hard for today. They've already had a bid of £40 million rejected. We saw Johan Wissa put out a statement yesterday saying he's desperate to leave Brentford. Although Brentford are keen to keep hold of him, you just wonder whether Newcastle will go in and tempt them once again with another bid now that they know Isak is on his way to Liverpool. So it's all geared up to be a very, very busy day here on Tyneside, and as always, we'll keep you right up to date here on Sky Sports News.
Great stuff. Thanks very much, Pete. A former Premier League striker, Charlie Austin, is with us until 10 a.m. So too is our reporter, Mark McAdam. Mark, busy night for you, busy deadline day already. You broke the Isak story for us. Just give us a timeline. How did it unfold?
Well, this is a transfer that's been in the making for a number of months, really. We reported 45 days ago that Alexander Isak had said to the hierarchy at Newcastle he wants to explore the avenues of a potential departure from St James's Park over the course of this summer. He made it quite clear that he didn't see his future at Newcastle United, and therefore him and his representatives were going to explore what was out there, what was possible. The price tag was 150 million. That was a starting point as far as Newcastle were concerned, and that basically said to the footballing world, only maybe one or two clubs can actually afford this deal. Real Madrid and Liverpool. No one else really, maybe Saudi Arabian sides could afford to get to that type of cash. So straight away, it ruled out most of the footballing world. But of course, there were another set of provisos put on any potential transfer, and that was, we need a replacement. That's going to be difficult to find. And they have to get to the fee that we're comfortable with. And then obviously over the course of the days and weeks and months, as it's now been, it was, we had one story about this, and Alexander Isak wasn't going to Asia. He wasn't training with the first team. He had his own separate programme. There was a family fun day at Newcastle that he wasn't involved in. Eddie Howe was doing everything he possibly could to say this is a united group, this is a strong dressing room. Come and be a part of it. This is important, this football club. Come and be a part of what we're doing and what we're going to achieve this season. But Alexander Isak remained firm in his decision that he didn't want to play for Newcastle United. And as it went on week by week, it became increasingly more likely that the chance of him being sold was going to happen. There was this big meeting on Monday at Alexander Isak's house. What was said in that meeting, we don't know. It turns out he was probably told on Monday that he was going to be sold, providing Liverpool could get to the price that they were comfortable with. Obviously, as Pete Grave mentioned there, the fact that they got in young German international 23-year-old striker Nick Woltemade was significant to allow Alexander Isak to go. And then late last night, after a few days of no contact between PIF, the owners of Newcastle, and FSG, the owners of Liverpool, it became apparent that a deal had to be done because time was running out. With less than 24 hours to go, we got confirmation that the deal had been agreed between the two parties and that Alexander Isak was free to travel to Liverpool this morning to undergo the formalities of the medical. So it's been a saga. It's been one of those transfers that we'll probably sit here and talk about in 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 10 years' time, because right now it's a Premier League record. It's a huge deal. It's two of the biggest clubs in the country fighting over the best striker in the world. and Liverpool have got their man. And, you know, I sat here and said 3 weeks ago, I don't think he's going to go anywhere. I think he's going to stay. Eddie Howard made it quite clear he wanted Alexander Isak at the football club. They tried to get replacements. It looked unlikely he was going to stay. But then things change. And that's the great thing about deadline day and any possible transfer. You can say one thing and be 100% certain, and then it changes within minutes. And that's why we love it so much, because it's so unpredictable.
Yeah. We're not done, by the way. We're going to come back to you in just a moment for some more Isak chat. But we've got some breaking news, because Brighton's Matt O'Reilly is understood to be travelling to France this morning for a medical with Marseille. The midfielder is set to join them on a straight loan with no option. He was left on the bench yesterday as Brighton beat Manchester City. Marseille, of course, are managed by the former Brighton head coach, Roberto De Zerbi. But going back to Isak, Mark, I'm just trying to find out what else is going on.
There's always
Breaking
something
news.
happening. You know, I'm not being rude, but just to...
You're not texting your mate,
No, he's definitely staying across the breaking news. I have a question for Charlie, actually.
OK, you do that and we'll follow up
just
with Mark.
about the Alexander Isak. It's overshadowed a lot of, you know, the summer for Newcastle, especially. He's finally got his move now. Do you think this sets a precedent for how others, and we've seen Johan Wissa as well, the way he's behaved. Does this set a precedent for players?
Yeah, of course it does. Because, and I mean, it does not only for Premier League players, I think for football in this country, because if we're talking top-end players going for 125 million, British record fees, what's it stopping players going for a lot less money than that? I think that was what I was saying a couple of weeks ago. I think that's was one of the reasons I didn't think the deal would go through, because of this reason and the way he's acted. But like Mark said, we're going to talk about a transfer for so long, could be a couple of years, 5 years, 10 years. No one's really going to, we might just say, oh, look how the player acted. But that's almost going to be part now. No one's going to really remember that. It's a £125 million move. He's left Newcastle and now he's going to go and play for Liverpool. That's the biggest talking point now. No one's really going to remember. If we say a couple of weeks, no one's going to remember how he acted. He's going to go and play for Liverpool and score goals.
Once he starts scoring goals,
That's it. And that was the same. If he didn't get his move, and they say, oh, how is he going to act when he gets back? If he didn't get the move back into Newcastle, how's Newcastle fans going to act? Well, if he starts scoring goals, no one's going to worry about it.
That's true, yeah.
OK, we'd pause that once again because we have some breaking news for you, and it concerns Burnley midfielder Florentino Luis is to have a medical in Manchester this morning ahead of a loan move from Benfica to Burnley. All other details agreed on the move for the Portugal midfielder, and Burnley are now focusing on players leaving Turf Moor.
Right, Liverpool strengthening in attack, but could they make a big addition at the back as well? Well, they've, of course, been chasing Mark Guéhi all summer. Will they get the signature of the Crystal Palace captain over the line today, though? Well, James Savundra is at Selhurst Park for us. Morning, James. Palace fans desperate for him to say. What do you reckon? Will Guéhi still be a Palace player come 7 p.m?
Matt, a very good morning to you. It's so difficult to say at this stage. How good was Mark Guéhi last night, leading Crystal Palace to victory with a brilliant strike as well? It didn't feel like farewell. Let's bear in mind Liverpool lodged a bid of around £35 million on Saturday. We understand that Crystal Palace are looking at something more towards £35 million plus £5 million in add-ons. They do not want to lose him for free next summer, but at the same time, Oliver Glasner made it very clear last night that he has to stay, and they've not been able to find a replacement in time. Plenty can change between now and that deadline at 7 p.m. But for Crystal Palace, you can understand from a business perspective why they want to get something for him to avoid him leaving for free next summer. This is the last day where they can guarantee they can get any money for him, because from January he can start speaking to foreign clubs, and there'll be plenty of foreign clubs interested in signing Mark Guéhi as a free agent next summer. It feels at this moment in time, based on what Oliver Glasner said, he's more likely to stay, but we know Steve Parrish said it does represent a problem for a player of this calibre to leave the football club for free next summer, especially as it seems unlikely he's going to sign a new contract. So at this moment in time, things remain in the balance. This is the final day where Palace can cash in on their England midfielder, the England defender even.
Yeah. As you mentioned there, James, such a crucial player for Palace, their captain at the heart of their defence. So who could they line up to replace him at the back? Is Chelsea's Axel Disasi an option?
Well, Julia, throughout the summer, they've been looking at a number of different options. If Mark Guéhi was to depart the football club, they've been realistic, knowing that if his valuation was met, then they'd need to find a replacement. And Oliver Glasner spoke about needing to sign a ready-made Premier League replacement, or Alexander Isak could be a player that fits that bill. He's in the bomb squad at Chelsea right now. He is available to move to a different club, and there's a great relationship between Crystal Palace and Chelsea. Last season, Trevor Chalobah and Ben Chilwell both left Chelsea and moved to Crystal Palace on loan, so it's definitely a deal that you could see being done if they look to bring in a defender and Mike Gay does depart. At the same time, the club are looking to wrap up a deal to sign JD Camvo. He's a defender from Toulouse, a very exciting centre-back. A number of Premier League clubs have been interested in signing him. He's turned down a number of offers. It does look like he's going to become a Crystal Palace player, but this is in no way related to the Mark Gay deal, because they've been looking to sign a young centre-back anyway. If Gay is to depart, they'll be looking to sign a Premier League-ready replacement, and Alexander Isak could be one that fits that bill. There's plenty that could happen between now and 7 p.m. I'm fairly sure Crystal Palace will be signing an attacking player as well. We wait to see what happens. It's going to be a very exciting day. It always is at Crystal Palace. They signed 4 players here on deadline day last summer. I don't think it'll be as busy, but plenty of uncertainty around Mark Gay, and they'll be looking to bring in more reinforcements as well.
And we'll be looking to you to keep us updated. Thanks, James.
Right, I want to get Charlie's thoughts on Mike Gay, because it's quite a tough one, this, isn't it? The owner will probably want to sell him to get the money in. The manager wants to keep him. What is better for Crystal Palace, the club? You keep Mark Gay, you risk losing him on a free, but you keep your momentum. They've had a great start to the season, great end to last season, or you cash in and you reinvest that money.
But what is, you say reinvest, but it's getting the right signing in, isn't it? And you're not only getting a ready-made centre-back for the Premier League, he's the leader, he's the captain, and that's a tough bit.
So what's the bigger risk?
I think they should keep him. I think they're going to try and keep him and see where we go. It depends how hard Liverpool push on that bit. I think they'll try and keep him. Look at European football also to offer. Yes, it's not Champions League, but they have got European football to offer. And I think it will be harder for them to try and replace him at such short notice now. So he's the captain, he's the leader, and ultimately if the manager's coming out and saying, I do not want to sell him, then that's where we're at.
Yeah.
Okay. A reminder now of the big breaking news on deadline day. Liverpool and Newcastle have agreed a British record transfer for Alexander Isak. Sky Sports News understands Liverpool will pay a fixed fee of £125 million for the striker, who will begin his medical this morning. Isak has agreed a 6-year deal with the Premier League champions, and the deal eclipses the £115 million Chelsea paid Brighton for Moises Caicedo in the summer of 2023. Newcastle wanted £150 million to part with Isak, but their stance softened in recent weeks as Isak attempted to force a move.
They can get Gay and Isak through the door. I mean, they're 2 starting players, and Isak's one of the top centre forwards in the world. He's a real player. He's the one player, Isak, that I've seen give Saliba and Gabriel and Van Dijk a real hard time over this last couple of seasons. I think he's really caused them problems. He's a different level player.